Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here on our workspace today with doing our Ghost subwoofer upgrade in the newer generation X3, so the 2017 and newer X3 cars. We have here our Bavsound Ghost woofer. We have here the HiFi woofer, and here is the Harman Kardon woofer. As you can see, these are identical housings, and we've removed them from the car, and you're going to do the same thing in your X3. The enclosures are secured with two 10mm nuts underneath the carpet, so when you lift the seat back to access the subwoofers, you're going to take these two, you're going to fold the carpet back under the seat. You'll see the two 10mm nuts, loosen them, lift the enclosure up and away from the car. This connects to the side of the car. So this is the outside of the car, and the other side, this will be the outside of the car. So this vents into the sides of the car. So we would lift up and out to get these under our workspace. And the reason is because these are actually adhered to the enclosure. They are this is the only BMW where this is the case. These are not screwed in, they are adhered in. So it's not a big deal. We've sent you some very nice stainless hardware to adhere your new woofers to. So getting them out of here is not as straightforward as unscrewing and removing. We've got to knock them out. And so to do that, this is kind of strange. You're in your brand new BMW, but again, it doesn't matter because you're not breaking anything, you're not modifying anything. And when you want to put these back in, when you get rid of the car, just put a bead of silicone down and smash them back down and they're fine. We've got to get this out of here, and we do it with a flathead screwdriver. And my God, I can't believe I'm saying this for the first time in 20 years. We're going to use a hammer to extract your subwoofer. So let's pause there while you digest that, have a beer. I'm just kidding, it's not a big deal. I'm going to get the lighting sorted so you can see what I'm doing and where I'm hitting. It's very straightforward, so let's just pause it right here. All right, guys, so flathead screwdriver. This is a pretty burly snap-on one. You won't have one like this, but just a nice wide flathead screwdriver. And you're going to see the seam between the enclosure and the woofer right here. So we just kind of wedge this, just kind of wedge it right there, or anywhere in here. You just want to be on this edge here, or on this side, either side, whichever. Actually, there's a nice little gap right there. And then I just want to. Here it's already, you can hear it already. Same thing here. You can hear the woofer just prying off. It's just the whole glue ring around that outer edge.
Tabs on the side.
We've got some tabs too, so I just wanted to show you how to break it free. So we've got a couple little tabs. There's one right here, there's one right here. That's it, it's just these two, isn't it? Yeah. So just bend these little guys back. You don't need to do much with them beyond that. So just bend them back, and then again, put your screwdriver under here. There you go. And the woofer, comes out. Could not be, I mean, obviously it would be easier if we unscrewed it, but I'd argue that I could do that faster, prying it out of here. The old woofer is out. Guess what? Here's your new woofer. It drops right in, but there is a caveat, and that is there are no holes in here. We got to drill them. It's not a big deal. How do we do that? Well, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to need a 5/32 drill bit. You're like, holy shit. Yes, you do. So what we're going to do.
Talk about the woofer being pushed forward for the
So
plug.
exactly. So what we do with the woofer is we push it all the way. So we set it down. So I've set it in here, and it's snug because, again, it's a perfect fit. So we've set the woofer down, and then we have pushed it all the way as forward as we can because we want to seal up this plug. So with it pushed like so, now we simply just take our drill, slowly pop through the plastic, look at that, like a glove. Okay, now we pop the woofer back out. We're just going to clean our surface off, make sure everything is nice and clean. That's all we're doing here. We're not taking it out for any other reason. So why don't we just do this? Turn it upside down. Because we have made this perfect. All right, so go through here, make sure the surfaces are all clean, and they are. Make sure there's no schmutz down in here. And now, check it out. Once again, let's do this. So, drop the woofer in. Remember, we push it all the way forward. Snap it in. These little tabs are going to go right back over the woofer, just like the stock speaker. Push it forward. And then we're going to come with the lock washer. As you can see, the lock washer and the bit from the bottom. Best thing to do. So, and again, we use our 3mm bolt that's in the toolkit. Forgive our little mess. It's hard to show this, and I mean, it's very simple as you can see, but making heads or tails of it. So then I just thread this up from the bottom. And then we're going to just drop the nut down on the top. It's as simple as that. We do this to keep it nice and snug. And then what's cool is in this same kit, check it out. I'm not going to cover all of this because you have a brain. We also have a 7mm socket in this kit. So what I'm going to have you do is put it in our angle driver here, switch it to tighten, and then with our fingers we're going to take on the washer, the top nut with the integrated lock washer. We're going to put it down like that.
Let me get a shot of that tight too, so
you can see that. And then we just kind of do this, just get it snug. And I'm going to show you we're going to do this on 2 of them. And then we do the star pattern as we tighten it. We do this one, this one, this one, then this one. And we slowly snug it down until the gasket has compressed. So why don't we just come back over to this side. And then I'm going to show you how we actually tighten it. So again, from the bottom, we'll take our Allen. We flip it over. We'll find the hole we drilled. Oh, that one just went through. Cool. And then same thing. And we're giving props here to our own Jeremy Whittle, who devised this ingenious system here. I'm thinking we need to mold new enclosures, and Jeremy goes, or we could just do this. He's a very smart. Anyway. Don't call him and tell him that, he'll get a big head. Same thing here. Blah, 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 blah. So see, some schmutz came up here. There we go. So now, how do we tighten this? Seems kind of a silly question to be saying, but, so we're gonna take this 7mm, hold it on one side, and then just do this on the other side. It's not that hard. Get it a little snug, then we work our way up. And as I said, we're gonna do the star pattern. So we do that side, and then we come over and we do this side. And we basically just reverse tighten everything until the gasket is compressed. And you know what, in fact, I think I should just keep doing this so you can see a visual representation of what that means. So let's pause it right here. I'm gonna snug everything up and show you what a compressed gasket looks like so that we know we have an airtight seal. Cool, all right, so this is how we do it. We're just turning, 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 turning. And then when it stops, we're done. And you can see now what the fully compressed all 4 bolts look like. You can now see on the side that the gasket is compressed.
yeah, give me a second.
Let's let that focus in. And hey, guess what? You're done. It really is that easy. So we just do that, obviously repeat that process on the other side. And that is how and then of course when it goes back in the car, the factory grill sits right here on top of this. No stress, no drama. You're able to rock and you're able to roll. So that is our 2017 and up X3 subwoofer installation guide. It's a party. They jam. They're brilliant. Any questions, bavsound.com. The social media stuff, I think we do it. Holler at Tom. He'll take care of that. He knows. He's young. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys soon.